The photos I've included in this exhibition were taken on occasions over 30 years apart. Firstly in 1983 when I first moved down to St Austell, and I was totally stunned by the landscape. It was like nothing I'd ever seen before. I didn't have a job at the time, and so going out to take photographs of this stunning landscape seemed a good way of using up all my spare time. And I spent a lot of time wandering around the China Clay District looking for interesting things to photograph. One of my favourite ones of this period was the scene at a top of, or near a top of a tip, with all the vegetation, the gorse, the little yellow flowers, and the blue sky above it. It was just so lucky, I was just so lucky, that the clouds seemed to project in from left to right, giving a real focus of the picture. Another of my earlier photographs shows a huge crater-like clay tip with the road running past it and the land in between interspaced with telephone poles. It's quite an evocative image for me because all the time I had going around in my head the Art Garfunkel song 99 Miles from LA, where he was singing about counting the telegraph poles, and also Glenn Campbell's Wichita Lineman. And every time I look at this image, I still think about this. On my last visit to China Country, which was either in the summer of 2014 or 2015, I took most of the remaining photographs. Deliberately took the shots around Nampian because I was so reassured by how little things seem to have changed. I'm sure it has, but then it looked sort of almost the same picture, and I wanted to record that. The other thing is, when I was taking them, it reminded me of all the things that have happened to me personally in the intervening period, and going back to how I was thinking and what I was experiencing then, as opposed to the situation and the life I was living now. I was also totally stunned by all the wildflowers that were around, foxgloves, thistles, gorse, and they looked just so beautiful in the landscape, and around the isolated buildings, on the verges and on the land that had been reclaimed from the clay tips. It recalled to me a time when I was driving up to Devon and passing Bugle on the A30, or towards the A30, when you hit the junction and there's two massive banks either side of you, and this was covered with gorse, and you're suddenly hit by the smell, the coconut smell, which was just totally amazing. At this time, I also went for walks around the newly established clay trails and the ponds that are out near Parr and near the Eden Project, and seeing the sand martins in the clay cliffs and watching the dragonflies. I would have liked to include a photograph of a golden ring dragonfly that I spotted whilst I was out that day, but unfortunately it didn't want to pose for me. But the biodiversity in the area was just so evident, and I hope it continues that way for a very long time.